how did you first get into music?
Um, well, my dad was a drummer, jazz, so there was a lot of jazz influence. He had a drum set around, but I didn't start playing till 11. I remember listening to a lot of Run DMC and Lionel Richie. Just happened to be the two cassette tapes that I was on repeat. So maybe it was Run DMC, just a lot of beats, you know. Eventually just started like the pillow setup drum wise. You know, this is obviously before electronic drums were so easy to give to kids. So did the pillows, and then yeah, got into some rock stuff like Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, uh, who knows what else, Michael Jackson. Just went from there. Got pretty serious at some point, you know.
Word, word.
Hmm.
So Motown to death metal, that's an interesting
Mm.
progression that I
Yeah, I
think.
would say death metal would be like 90, somewhere around 91 or something. Um, I mean, I was much more, my sort of coming of age for metal was like the big four, but it would be like Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss, more Injustice for All than Master of Puppets. I mean, I think Master of Puppets is a more colorful, probably better album. But I mean, and Justice for All was sort of my Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it was just the perfect sound at the time. Uh, you know, Megadeth, Rest in Peace, and Anthrax, Persistence of Time. So if I was 4 years older or something, I would just rattle off the previous albums. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But oh no, Rest in Peace is a masterpiece. I mean, how that out the Holy Wars starts off, the it's a
Mm.
great pace. Still one of my rocking albums.
Yeah, I saw them in Ventura before Rest in Peace came out, and they played Holy Wars before it was on an album. I remember that.
That would have been
It was
awesome. That
like,
would have
it
been
was,
awesome.
yeah, Marty Friedman's like first couple months in the band.
So, what was your first musical project?
This is not wine, by the way. It's cranberry. No, it's cherry, dark cherry.
Whatever. This
Yeah,
is coffee. I am thoroughly addicted, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
nice. Okay.
So, what was your first musical project?
Like, hmm. um, let's see. I think everything was like cover bands, you know, in high school and originals. I mean, I also had a jazz band in high school, like the later part of high school. And a couple of those guys have gone on to be pretty well known. But no originals there. I think it might be the music that eventually became my Tron project, Tron albums. Um, that was started in like 95. So that started out of a jazz thing that we just started making originals that sounded really avant-garde and more funky fusion. Then we brought in the sort of the concept theme with the imagery and story and stuff like that. And then a metal project with my friends that later became Tholis, which was a metal album I did. I don't know, after sometime after Tron. So those are my first projects. Yeah.
So yeah, that Tholis that was actually quite the uh, constant. 2007. Well, that was quite the great album. I was going to touch base
Mm,
on that, but
thank you.
let's get into that Tron more because I mean, you eventually re-recorded that in 2017. But
He,
at first in 2003, and then in
well,
2017.
I started working on it 10 years before. So somewhere in 2007, 2008, after Tholis, I just tried to slowly piece it together the way I wanted to do it. Mm, God, it took forever, obviously. um, Side note, I'm actually doing something for Tron now. I'm going to do like a re-release where I bring in all the tracks that I sucked out of it. I had all these tracks that were just not finished, or I didn't feel comfortable production wise with them. So I put them on a fourth album. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Deleted Scenes. And so
Yes,
I
yes,
threw them all there.
the
Yeah.
great. I'm not sure where they would fit into the other, like the other three. The trilogy, my
Mhm.
new holy trilogy is what I've been calling it.
Nice.
Uh,
So yeah, how they're going to fit, that's taken a couple days of massaging and cutting things a little bit. I am, I don't know, I'm pretty happy actually because I having them in there now. I think the other part of the concept with the map and the story, not that that's super important, but kind of for me it is. It's really hard to follow when I took part of the story out and threw it on a fourth album. So throwing them back in there. My girlfriend's the one that brought this up. She said, I love it, but I can't follow it. So I'm like, you're right. Maybe I can fix that. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to throw something on Bandcamp. And anyone that's bought the previous stuff, I'm going to just give it away for free.
so there's gonna be a re-release with that fourth album mixed in. That's phenomenal news. That's phenomenal
Yeah,
news.
it's got
So is
great flow. It's got a really good flow to it. It kind of almost feels like it's meant to be. So I'm happy about it.
that's quite exciting. That's quite exciting stuff. Tell me about how back in the '90s how that progressed into fully what it is now. Like you just started jamming with some friends and then threw in some concepts. How did that progress on?
I don't know. I think we were just getting bored of playing jazz standards. Me and this guy Joe Willis. He's one of my favorite people to play with. He plays keyboards. Um, we just started. We started like playing some of these melodies and heads, I guess we call it in jazz, and they just sort of were evoking more of a story. And so we're like, well, let's throw this together like it's a movie score to an animated movie. We got this scene, we got this scene, this guy in an elevator. There's something to do with an elevator was the first thing. So we just it caught fire. We just went with it, and the first one we came up with about 30 minutes of material, and we had some good artist friends that did a lot of they did slides while we played the show live. So it was, I don't know what to call it really. It's a multimedia event. So where to go from there? Then we all went to college, and over the summer we got back together, and we're like, let's make it even better. So we did a part two, and it was a lot more music, a lot more styles, and the concept was more solidified. And then Joe and I went to college in Santa Cruz. We just ended up living together, and we're like, all right, let's finish this out. So we did part three, and a lot of good material on that third one. And all was lost essentially, except for like cassette tape or VHS tape of the live performances, right? And after my time with the Stratosphere, I I realized that the Tron project was similar, even though it predated the Stratosphere, the multi-genre thing. So I thought, well, I've got all this work with the Stratosphere, building up a fan base. I can, kind of like materialize all that Tron catalog into something. So
That's
that was the inspiration. That's where it all came from. A lot of the material is on the 2003 release is mine, but I would say another third of it was Joe, the keyboard player. really just his material that he taught me some of the parts and I re-recorded and all that. Yeah. Couple things from the guy from Tholis as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. You also tried to get it into an animated series, but that fell short. Did you ever think about turning it into a comic book? I mean, the slide concept would already work with it going with the music, that you could literally just animate it into a comic book and use that as a pitching tool.
The guy, Colby, who's the artist, he does comics all the time. It's actually a really great question. So he did, obviously we did the trailer, the animated trailer, and that was the best way to pitch. So to do a comic book, yeah, we could flesh out an entire story. It's a good way to get the story and the concept across. But we actually did pitch it at some point with the trailer, and we had a guy that had written scripts, even some Star Trek Next Generation stuff, and he really liked it, and he tried to pitch it, and we were basically getting the same thing, which was that no studios make animated stuff except obviously your Disney and your Pixar, but this was more of a traditional animation type of thing. So we tried. They said no. I think that we possibly could do a second try at it, but it's not really my forte, writing a script or story. So it has to be someone else that gets into it, that wants to take it.
Word, word.
Yeah.
I only say that because like I said, I'm a nerd. I just bought a bunch of comics today.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, the thought crossed my head, and I was like, man, if they're already doing slides anyway, it'd make a great comic book.
Yeah, if you see my website, I've got all the slides sort of up there on like a kind of like a mosaic kind of. Those are all the slides that we did for the one live show. Each each Tron was a one live show. It was just so much work with it. I can't believe what the kind of work we could do when we were young, and not get paid. And yeah,
Yeah,
those days are over.
Yeah, I wish I could have caught one of those. That would have been phenomenal. How did you let's move on to some stratosphere. How did you find yourself in a stratosphere?
Um, I went to UC Santa Cruz, and Jason and John were in the jazz program, and I wasn't a music major, but I wanted to I wanted to get into the jazz combos there. So I tried out, and I remember the first day Jason met me, he kind of looked me up and down, was like, I was I was an unknown at the time, and so he was like, "Can you read?" I was like, "Can I read?" I mean, I'm in both jazz bands, so I can do okay. And so once we were in the jazz group, he kind of like understood that I could play a little bit of metal, and then he opened up about his Mr. Bungle history and obsession. Then I met Tim at the same time at their house, and they definitely wanted to use my jazz / metal experience. So that's kind of how it started. John, then we brought Timba in later. So it was all just based on the music department at UC Santa Cruz.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think we were playing jazz mostly at first. Like just to make money, like jet weddings and stuff, But we had all this rebellious energy, I guess. we could say. And we started ruining some weddings, and at that point, um, I think we stopped and focused on the death metal gypsy video game stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, and that's where it was at too. That's where it was at. Those those albums blew my mind.
Oh yeah, thanks. They I mean, it was really that something was going on in Santa Cruz, or at that time for us, or something was in the water, or the health food or something we were eating. But I mean, we definitely were on fire with creativity and just going crazy on stage and album concepts. And yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize how special that was until later, like the group, you know, coming together and putting all that energy and that type of music out was super unique. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Then you went on to that metal band Tholos. Went on to Flirtation, and you did put out an album, that Constant album, in 2007. That was a great album. Tell me about that album.
That's all the music of my friend Mike Johnson, and we went to, you know, I've known him forever. So when I was done with Tron, I was like, what's next? And I thought, God, Mike has such good stuff. I can't believe he hasn't, you know, now that we've got, you know, laptops and stuff that can get the job done. So I kind of pushed him or inspired him. I don't know how he wants to see it, but so he basically he made a demo, and unfortunately he forgot to tune his guitar to any particular note, so it was impossible to lay down real tracks or bass or other tracks. So Mike was busy and he couldn't really re-record it, so I hired these guys, or I didn't hire them actually. They did it for free. This is amazing. There's a band called MirthCon. Have you ever heard of MirthCon?
MirthCon, I love that band.
Oh, okay. God. Excellent band. Yeah. From
Excellent
Crossover.
band.
Yeah.
Flashbulb Orgasm's one of my favorite tracks.
I don't know. I'm not that familiar. I just know the guys kind of.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know what, maybe I posted something online, and Wally, who's kind of the head of that group, he wanted to do it. He wanted to basically do all the guitars for Tholis. And I was like, okay, it's kind of a hard job, but my God, that guy is so like technically brilliant and well studied. I mean, he can read really. I mean, he reads real notation, not just tab and stuff. But we got the MIDI for the guitars, and he did everything. Him and Rob, I think the other guy, kind of did like more of the lead stuff. And they made Tholis possible, because Mike wasn't able to do it again. So so then once that was done, I spent a lot of time. The drumming was hard for me. It was probably the best most technical I've ever played. Like I actually listened to it a couple days ago, and I was like, wow, this is really counted pretty well on this song. So I did the drums, and then we laid down some vocals and album art, and that's it. Metal album. And it's definitely like Mike is into that 1995 type of like Carcass, maybe a little bit of Cannibal Corpse, and who else, Death or something like that. I mean, these guys that did a review of it, they said it just like really captured that era.
It does too. It's a great metal album. It's a great death metal album. I fucking loved it. I loved it. after that, you
Awesome.
were in a band called. You released an album with a band called Sculptured Embodiment.
Yeah, I mean they just wanted me to do the drums. I wasn't a part of writing or really the project other than they wanted drums. They wanted me to come up with the drum parts as well. Um, it was a bit zany, like everything else. They kind of wanted some weird stuff, but also just regular metal. That was a lot of fun. There's some good stuff on there. But that was just sort of like came in and I learned it and gave them the drums. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Then you recorded that Orange Tulip Conspiracy. That
Oh yeah. Well, I think just one song. Yeah. I wasn't a
one
big part
song.
of that. Yeah. A great album though. I wish I had done more on that album or the other albums he's done. Yeah.
What with Atomic Ape and what is now
Red something.
Red Faction.
Red Fiction,
Fiction.
maybe.
Red Fiction.
Fiction. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Jason.
stuff.
Jason sounded really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that dude. I love that dude. All
Hmm.
right, it's hard to keep track of him. He keeps changing the name of his band.
I know. I don't know why.
But it's all great stuff. It's all great stuff. Um, Recently, you have released some stuff with High Castle Tele Orchestra. How did
Oh
that
yeah.
all go down? That's some fucking phenomenal stuff right there.
Yeah. Are you out in the Colorado area?
No, I live in the middle of
Oh,
Missouri. I live in the Ozarks.
okay. Gotcha.
Billy
Okay. I was
Bob's not
wondering.
just a moniker. It's my real like.
Billy Bob.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ozarks. Strange TV show as well. Um, and I know it's probably not tinted green living there, right? Like that TV show was.
it kind of is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I
Um,
got some good lighting to cover it up, but no, it's pretty green around here.
okay. So COVID era, like remote band type of situation. I think somehow Tim was having a midlife crisis, I think, and just wanted to get back into it pretty hard and not just pick up where he left off, but take it even further. The guy from Norway that plays accordion is a super musician. So I would say that to know more about that group, gonna have to interview Tim or his partner in crime.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. So for me, it was like just play drums, kind of again. Except for there was a one gypsy song that they wanted me to arrange for metal, which turned out it was really difficult to do because the song is just relentless. The seven rhythms just relentless, and I was like, God, this is so annoying. To just say, do the metal guitar just constantly in seven or something. So I was kind of playing with a lot of Meshuggah theory type stuff where I'll just like, well, let's see what happens if the drums are in four or half time, double time, or whatever. So that was probably that's really the only thing that I had writing wise contributed to that project. But the drums were a challenge because Tim wanted to not really stick to like a tempo, more like fluid, emotional, even if there was like a conductor or something. And as a drummer, especially on a remote band where you're not really playing with people and visualizing where the one is based on movement or something. Oh man, that was tough. I had to put the computer kind of up on my left so I could see, how it would move and like slow down. Like, okay, I got to go slower, and I'd see the little tempo track And I'm like, okay, it's going to be a little faster this next bar. I'll slow it down. I'm about medium, slow it down. So it made easy parts or semi-easy drum parts like really hard.
Well, it turned out awesome.
I don't know if anyone can even hear that amount of the task at hand of trying to change the tempo every bar. So I don't know if the net result was worth the effort, but that was one challenge with that, and a lot of different styles, right? Like production styles too. So yeah, we're about to start. Well, he's given me some material to learn. We're going to do two at a time, I think, this time around, and then eventually there'll be. I'm not sure what he wants to do actually, but he's given me two pieces to work on. One is pretty cool, like a surfy, odd time surfy Ethiopian type thing, which kind of nails a lot of my favorites. So I'm glad he gave me something inspiring. And then maybe I don't know if I'm supposed to. maybe this is stuff is supposed to be top secret. I don't know.
It's too late now, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I didn't bring up what the second one was because I think he wants it top secret. Yeah.
No, it's cool. I can edit that out if
It's
you
Eminem. We're gonna do Eminem covers. No, just kidding. And Barry Manilow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it'll turn out great. Whatever it is. um,
The next thing for me is the High Castle Tello Orchestra and the re-release of Tron.
oh yeah, that
And
re-release of Tron. What inspired the? Oh, you already said. You already told me that your girlfriend brought it up. That
yeah, because I mean I haven't really listened to it or thought about it at all for quite a while.
oh,
And
I'm
and she was
constant. Sorry,
oh, what's that? Yeah, she
sorry,
was
I
on a
got
place.
ADD.
She was on a plane and had a ton of time, so she just sort of uh did a deep dive on it and had good feedback and then had that feedback and I was like, wow, you're right, probably should fix this. So that's it. And
Yeah,
it's not hard to fix. It's not like I'm opening sessions and remixing, remastering. I would not do that. There's no way I would do that. I mean, Tron like destroyed me.
oh,
As albums do.
but it turned out so great. Like I said, it's my new holy trilogy. I make people listen to it regularly. You know,
Oh,
it's awesome.
that's good to hear, man. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So finding out that you're re-releasing it are you gonna any plans on like a limited vinyl press or maybe some CDs? I don't know, something.
I would like to do yeah, I really would want to do the vinyl, mostly just because of the album art. I could care less really about the physical copy. Some people brought it up that did an interview with, and they seem to have an angle for it, but they weren't ready to, like they had like some business idea and then they were gonna use Tron as like one of their first things. Vinyl would be rad because the art is just that old school prog awesome, you know, stuff. So it'd be nice to see, but we'll see. I mean, I could imagine fronting the money and doing it and selling like five. So
Well, I would
that's the
definitely
problem.
buy one of them.
All right. Well,
But yeah, man, thanks for taking the time to do this, man. I really
yeah.
and like I said, I make people listen to your music all the time. That fucking Tron, there's so much variety and it just flows so nicely. It's like a fucking musical adventure, you know?
I'm glad you get it. I'm, you know, the concept seems to have landed with some people, and it makes me happy. And who knows why I do it, and you know, creatively did it, and want to keep even re-releasing it, but something to do with whatever was going around in the early 90s, and metal and avant-garde music and a stratosphere. Yeah, that's sort of. But once I finished Tron, I felt like I was done. There's no way I'm not doing any multi-genre stuff anymore. The next whatever I'm doing next is probably going to be really simple, probably weird, but simple.
Word, word.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say one more thing. Oh, I have once I get my mics on my drums, I'm actually going to do some playthroughs of the drums for Tron, because they were just kind of recorded on V drums and stuff like that, or most of them were V drums. So, um, like a video, like a playthrough type thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that'll be fun, I think, at least for anyone that knows the track, some of the tracks. So,
Oh, I know them all. They play relentlessly in my head.
wow, cool. That's good to know.